Well, hello, hello, hello. How are you? Patricia here, Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States, but more specifically in Alaska. Today's just a little bit hazy. It is about, 7 degrees below zero, I believe it is. It is March 20th, 21st. I don't know. It's Thursday. It's during spring break. I had hoped, actually, excuse me, to make more videos during spring break, but I have had lessons that I have so needed to get done. Whoa, sorry, it's moving there. And so had to get that studying done. You watch videos, you read the book, you take quizzes and tests and all of that. And all part of being a teacher and keeping certified, but also teaching your kids, and doing it in a way that makes sense. So been a lot of that. That's what I've spent most of my spring break doing, which is why I did not go home, which I would have loved to have done, but I stayed in the village. I will get to go home in May, so I'm a little excited. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to make this, it's sort of a camera shutter look. And I know there's another, and maybe I'll have to look that one up because I haven't made it in a while. Another camera shutter type of thing that's more interactive, that as you pull it and open the card, the camera shutter moves. It goes to a small diameter and then gets to a larger diameter, and that one's a lot of fun. It's very interactive. This one is not interactive, but I still love the look of it. Now, there are different papers that you can use for this, and you just need a 6x6 piece of Designer Series paper, or DSP. And so this is the one that I chose to use. And then all you really have to do, so the ones that I am using today come out of the Everyday Skies Designer Series paper, okay? And I selected a few, practically every single one of these would work for this. But one of the cool things is that you're going to use both, or see both sides of your Designer Series paper here. And so that is very clever. Now, you can put anything you want on the inside. I chose to go with a circle. Mostly, I think I used a 2-inch circle. And mostly I sort of did that because it's got sort of that theme of, it's the inside of a circle. I mean, if we had one that was cut, a punch that was cut, that had several sides to it, that might be really cool too. You could put, use your imagination, do whatever you want to, but I really like this one. Now, it's got space for a sentiment here and a sentiment here, and of course on the inside of the card, but you could put a character or a flower or a whatever you want on the inside of this. Now, one thing I do want you to notice is that it is kind of poofied up, if you will. You know how most of the times when we make a card, we use that bone folder to really burnish down those edges so that it's not poofy like that. Well, on this one, we want that poofiness. Poofiness ought to be a good word, right? So we'll use it. All right. So I'm not going to make the whole card. What I'm going to do is show you how to make this. But I will say that when you get done, your square in the center with the measurement, where's my ruler? Here it is. When you get done with this, if you start with a 6-inch Designer Series paper and do the way I have done it, you will end up with 3.5-inch square for the middle of this, for your shutter. So that means you need 3 3/4 for your layering piece. That's the one right behind it. So you'll start with, whoops, I don't want to use a Sharpie, do I? I want to use a marker. So you're going to start with a 6x6 DSP. You are going to score it, and we'll put those scoring measurements here in just a minute. And then you're going to end up with 3.5 inch square. Okay. So you'll need, the layer is 3 3/4. Okay. And then square, of course. And then this paper right here is your normal layering piece if you want that 1/4 inch on each side. So it is 5 1/4 by 4. And then your card base, so let's put that up here. Your card base is your normal, what is it? 8.5 by 11, yes. Okay. So this is your 8.5 by, or 8.5 by 5.5. My bad. I do know how to, woohoo! My paper tried to drop. Okay, so, whoops, helps if you get it on there correctly. 5.5 by 5.5. Oh, why am I 5.5 by 8.5? Yeah, that's right. Good grief. Okay, I do know the size of the card base. You wouldn't know it though, would you? Okay, so this is what we're going to make. These are some of the pieces that I could use. This is, again, out of the Everyday Skies series. Now, you could use, I've seen people use Full of Life DSP. Any of these are just gorgeous. I don't know which one. I think we'll go with this one because it's so beautiful. I love the colors on this. Now, look, even though this is this paper right there, it does not look like a sky necessarily once I get it done how we're going to do it. So let's pull in our paper trimmer, and we are going to score. Now, you can use if you've got a Stampin' Up paper trimmer, you can score this on the right-hand side or the left hand, but you're going to score at 1 1/4 inches all sides, all 4 sides. Okay, so let's do that. I'm going to go ahead and do it here on the right side. I'm going to get my cutter, my paper trimmer, my cutting blade out of the way. Be sure it is perfectly aligned up here at the top. And then get that right on that 1 1/4, and you're going to score it. Now, DSP is a little more fragile than your regular cardstock. So you want to be aware of that and not press too hard. You don't want to go through it. Goodness, it's hard to see it with these lights on here. So be sure you've got it on there. Score it. Again, all 4 sides. I'm being fairly gentle as I score on that. Line that up. Score. And 1 1/4 and score. Okay. Then, for the moment, I'm going to set aside my paper trimmer. I am going to grab my paper snips. Yeah, left them over on my desk. Okay. Then, as you can see right here, I hope you can see that, there is a square there where those 2 lines meet. And I am simply going to cut that square out. So cut it. Do not angle that. When we make boxes and different things like that, I know that we often angle those little lines, but we are not going to do that. We're going to cut them out just perfectly on each corner. Like that. And you can always use those for something. That would make a really cute quilt pattern on a card. I would not throw those away. I would definitely use them for something. Okay. So then I've got this. Now, what I want to do is on each corner, I'm going to pull my paper trimmer back in. And on each one of these, I am going to cut an angle. Just be sure you cut the same angle. So you could put yourself a little mark on here on each corner that's in the same spot that says, this is where I'm cutting. Okay, I don't even, here, let me see if you can see one of those right there. Can you see that? Just a little bitty angle in there that says this is where I'm going to cut. And what I'm going to do is cut from this corner to this corner. Okay, so put it in here. I want to line up in the slit that's right there where my cutter, where my cutting blade goes in. I line this up and that corner up, and you may have to go back and forth a few times. I would start in the middle, push it down, go up to the top, then come back down. Do it slowly when you come down, and you will feel right there. I felt when it got into that spot. And I'm going to get rid of this or do something with it. Okay, go to the next one. You want to go the same direction. So I go back to that little mark. I mean, that may not be the best way you find for you to mark those. I could even something like put an X on the top of each of these that says this is what I'm going to get rid of. That's often what you do when you're working with wood. Put an X on the part that you're going to throw away. Okay, be sure it's lined up here and here with that slot. Again, push it down in, come down, do slower when you come down. You'll feel it hit that spot. You can probably see it on the camera each time I get to that spot where I'm at the end, and you can feel it hit that spot. Okay, so same thing here. Right, I want to be sure that that's right in that slot, the cutting area. Again, I'm going to push it right down in and then come down, feel it. Okay, and you can start to see it taking shape now. It's really so incredibly easy to do. Okay, be sure on both ends, push it down in, feel it. There we go. And it is done except for the folding. And remember, we are not going to, what are we not going to do? We're not going to use our bone folder on these. So I could fold this in, or I could fold this in, whichever one floats your boater, to be honest. I am going to fold each of these in, and again, not using that bone folder. Okay, I'm just folding it in like this on all four sides. There we go. I am using my finger. I'm not using my thumbnail because I don't want that, except maybe on the small end. And then when I get to this end, I'm going to fold that in. Oops. Get that back in there. So what I'm doing is I'm just doing, how you would do a normal box, folding the four corners in, tucking them under each other. And that is it. Now, the nice part about this is that once I've got this done, so I said I wasn't going to finish it, but I think I will just because it's so cute. So I'm going to put that aside. I'm going to cut my card base. So I'm taking an 8.5 by 11. This is Fresh Freesia. It is one of the cards in the Everyday Skies series, or DSP. And it's in my card. Okay, so you can see it just a little bit there. But that's the color I decided to use. So I'm going to go to half of 8.5 by 11 on the 11-inch side. I am going to cut that. So now I've got my card base. And then on this, I want, remember, this is 3.5. So I want 3 3/4. So I'm going to go to 3 3/4 and cut that. I want a square. So 3 3/4 again, and cut that. And if I now look at this, it is perfect. Okay, so let's put that aside. Let's go ahead and glue this down. You can get some, isn't that beautiful? Anyway, I'm going to get some liquid glue here. That on there. And notice, I don't even have to glue these. Now, if I felt the need, I could, I suppose, go ahead and glue like where the corners touch. But honestly, I mean, I can kind of flip that around. I do not have to glue it. It's going to stay just like that. Okay. Then I want my this is going to be my card base. Where are my, they should be right here somewhere. That's not it. That one's too small. All right, I am just going to cut it real quick. I want a piece to go on the front. And remember, I said that one was 5 1/4 by 4. So 5 1/4. Whoops, that's not what I want. I want 4 here. 4. There we go. Okay. And now I want 5 1/4. So there we go. Always save these. They are fantastic for putting my sentiments on. Okay. Now I am not going to glue this down yet, because I want to stamp my sentiment here. If I were to mess up on my sentiment, then if I've already glued this down, I can't turn it over and use the other side. Okay, so let's pull out a sentiment, and I'm just going to pull whatever I've got sitting here on my desk. We're going to go with Happy Birthday, and as I said, this is Fresh Freesia, so I do want my Fresh Freesia ink. So let's grab that. Okay. And I do want to know where it needs to go, so I'm going to put it on there to give myself a reference. And whoops. There we go. Happy birthday. Ta-da! I love it. Okay. And then I can stamp. So on this one, I used my 2-inch punch, circle punch. So, oh, I should have left that open. That's okay. Will that fit? Let's see. Let's go ahead and punch this. I mean, not punch it. Stamp it and see if, so let me open that Fresh Freesia back up, if that will fit on my 2-inch punch. Now when I stamp this, okay, let me talk about 2 different things. Most of the time when I am going to punch, I stamp first. However, this is a circle punch, so I don't necessarily have to punch it first, but I want to know, goodness gracious, I want to know that it's going to fit. That's why I'm doing it. So let me ink it up again and stamp it. There we go. And I am going to open my punch. So I push the plunger thing up, and oh, it does. Look at that. Very nice. So hoping your day is the best ever. Now, I don't have to worry about getting this thing straight up and down because I can turn it on the card, but I do need to get it centered. Okay, so notice I can sort of punch it just the littlest bit. I haven't even punched anything out. All I'm doing is holding it a little bit closed so that I can position it where I want, then punch it. There we go. So again, as I said, that's my 2-inch circle. Now I can close my ink. That one didn't want to close very well, did it? And where did my card go? Here we go. I am going to put this up on dimensionals. I know I have dimensionals out because, oh, here it is, because I just opened a new package. So let's pull 3 out for that. I want 1 on each corner, right? My kids would leave, Miss Hauser, there's no corners on a circle. And I would say, yes, there is. And they would say, no, you get the idea. All right, there we go. I do want to be sure, of course, that now I have it straight up and down. There we go. I've got this punch. Whoop, that's not my card base. Where'd my card base go? Oh, it's over here. Okay, now I will tell you this. This is a little bit sturdier than some of our cardstock. And you know, normally I would fold this in half and use my bone folder. But because it is a little bit sturdier, or at least it feels that way, I'm going to get my paper trim, or the cutter, out of the way and get my scoring blade. And I'm going to give that a nice good crease so that it bends those fibers in there. And then when I pull it out and then fold it in, I don't have any little, I don't know what you call it. They can be kind of rough sometimes if they don't bend well. So now this is my card base. Now I'm going to put my shutter on the layer and line it up. Hello. The nice thing about using your liquid glue, and I use Tombow, partly because that's what we sell, but I also really like it. So, whoops, I do need to put this one on. Is that Tombow or liquid glue gives you a little bit of room to move it around if you need to. And often when I'm videotaping, I do need to move it around a little bit. And voila, our card is done. Now I do need to stamp an envelope, put something on there, whatever, floats your boater. So my card base, I start with the 6x6 designer series paper. I've got a little bit of a corner here I need to put some glue on. And this is called a shutter, camera shutter fold or something like that. But it's so cute. I just love it. All right, there we go. We have 2 of them. I think I already have a, whoops, wiped out my, okay, so let's write those back in there. Layer, so that you can see them. Layer 3 3/4, 5 1/4 by 4 is my white layer on both of these. So you end up with a 3 1/2 by 3 1/2 square. Whoops, square. All right, there you go. I hope you enjoyed this. I would so appreciate it if you would give me a thumbs up, comment below if you have not already subscribed, and clicked on the bell so you'll get notifications, and share the video. I would absolutely love it. None of those cost you a thing, but they mean the world to me. Thank you. Have a good one, and I will see you next time.